What if something sitting quietly in your kitchen right now was once used in ancient healing traditions, trusted for thousands of years, and is now being studied again by modern science? And what if taking a small amount of it before bed could begin to change how your body feels the next morning? Not instantly, not dramatically, but in a way you start noticing over time? Because here's what most people never think about. When you fall asleep, your body doesn't shut off. Your system stays active. Your digestion continues working. Your circulation keeps moving. Your body is still processing everything you gave it during the day. But here's what most people never stop to consider. Does your body respond differently to what you take in right before sleep? And if it does, why did ancient healers pay so much attention to this exact moment? And this is where something interesting begins to happen. When it enters your body at night, right before everything slows down, it interacts with that quiet internal activity, that gentle warmth you feel when you drink it. That's not just a comforting sensation. That's your body reacting, a subtle shift, a signal. And if you repeat that night after night for just 7 days, you might begin to notice changes that don't feel dramatic at first, but become harder to ignore over time. So now the real question becomes, what actually happens inside your body when you take it before bed for a full week? There's something unusual about the way your body responds to this. You don't need much, even a small amount. And within minutes, you feel it. Not overwhelming, just noticeable. Most people stop there. They assume it's just the spice. But your body doesn't react like that for no reason. That warmth is your circulation shifting, your digestive system waking up, your internal processes becoming more active, even as the rest of you is getting ready to rest. Now think about the timing. At night, your body is in a different state. You're not eating heavy meals anymore. You're not moving around as much. Your system is transitioning into repair mode. This is when your body processes what you ate, balances internal systems, resets for the next day, and anything you introduce at this moment can interact with that process in a very specific way. So when you drink ginger before bed, you're not just having tea, you're introducing active compounds into your body at a time when everything is quieter and more sensitive. That's what makes this different from taking it during the day. And if you repeat that same small action every night, your body starts to recognize it. It begins to respond more efficiently, not instantly, but gradually. And that's where things start to get interesting. Because once your body adapts, the effects don't just stay at night. They follow you into the next day. And the plant behind all of this is something you've probably seen countless times without thinking twice about it. It's ginger. More specifically, the root of ginger. At first glance, it doesn't look like much. Rough, uneven, almost forgotten in the corner of a kitchen. Nothing about it suggests power. And yet, this root has traveled across continents for thousands of years. Not because of its taste, but because of how it makes the body feel. And what's even more interesting, this wasn't just used casually. In many ancient traditions, plants like this were part of daily rituals, not just for flavor, but for restoring balance inside the body. Long before modern science existed, before labs, before chemical analysis, people were already paying attention to what happened after they consumed ginger. They noticed patterns. If you felt heavy after eating, ginger seemed to change that. If your body felt cold or sluggish, ginger created warmth. If your stomach felt unsettled, ginger often brought relief. And these observations didn't just happen in one place. They appeared again and again in completely different parts of the world. Different cultures and different languages, but the same conclusion. This root does something real inside your body. And what's even more interesting, many of those traditional observations line up closely with what modern research is starting to explain today. So this isn't just an old belief. And if you're starting to notice a pattern here, how simple things that have been around for generations are only now being understood again, then this is exactly what this channel is about. Because there are more of these plants, more of these forgotten patterns that your body already recognizes, but most people never pay attention to. Because once you start noticing these patterns, you begin to realize ginger was never just a kitchen ingredient. And if you want to keep exploring more of these forgotten patterns, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what comes next. It's a pattern that has repeated itself for centuries, and patterns like that are rarely random. Long before you ever thought about using ginger at night, ancient systems of medicine were already studying how it interacts with your body. In traditional Chinese medicine, ginger wasn't just a food. It was used to restore what they described as internal warmth. But what does that really mean? Imagine your body feeling slow, heavy, almost like your system isn't moving the way it should. Ancient practitioners observed that ginger seemed to bring movement back. Your digestion felt more active. Your body felt less sluggish. There was a sense of internal wakefulness. They didn't talk about enzymes or compounds. They simply watched what happened inside the body. But what exactly were they noticing that made this root worth repeating again and again for generations? At the same time, in Ayurveda, one of the oldest healing systems in the world, ginger was given a powerful title, the universal medicine, not because it cured everything, but because it seemed to support multiple systems at once. Your digestion, your circulation, your internal balance. It became something people used daily, not occasionally, and it didn't stay in one place. Across ancient trade routes, ginger kept showing up again and again. Different cultures valued it, not just for flavor, but for what people felt in their bodies after using it. In some places, it was valued like something rare, a root carried across long distances, and yet, different cultures separated by distance and language kept noticing the same thing about ginger. That kind of consistency usually points to something real, something observable, something your body can recognize, even now. What makes ginger even more interesting is how simple people kept it. There were no complicated formulas, no precise measurements, no advanced tools, just observation and daily use. If your stomach felt heavy after eating, a small piece of ginger. If your body felt cold, especially in the evening, warm ginger tea. If your system felt unsettled, a simple ginger tonic. It became part of everyday life, not something you had to think about, something you just reached for. Imagine this. You finish a meal late in the evening. Your body feels full, maybe a little too full. There's that slow, heavy sensation sitting in your stomach. Instead of ignoring it, you take a few slices of ginger, place them in hot water, and sip slowly. Within minutes, something shifts. That heaviness begins to ease. Your stomach feels lighter. Nothing dramatic, but noticeable. Now imagine repeating that every night. This is how traditional use developed, not from theory, but from repeated real-life experience. People didn't need scientific explanations. They trusted what they could feel. And over time, ginger became something your body almost expects, a small signal at the end of the day that helps your system transition from activity into rest. And when something supports that transition consistently, your body starts to respond in a more predictable way. That's where the deeper effects begin, not from one use, but from repetition. Now, this is where things begin to connect in a different way. For a long time, everything you've just heard was based on observation. People noticed how ginger made the body feel, but they didn't know why. Today, that's starting to change. Only recently, researchers started isolating the very compounds. That may explain why people kept reaching for ginger for so long. Names like gingerol and shogaol sound technical. But what matters is what your body seems to do in response. Because the science doesn't replace the old observations, it starts explaining them. Let's start with digestion. Your stomach doesn't just hold food, it processes it in stages. Sometimes that process slows down. Food sits longer than it should. You feel heavy, sluggish. Some researchers believe compounds in ginger may help your stomach move food more efficiently. Now think back to that nighttime feeling, that heaviness after eating. This is exactly where ginger seems to step in. But that's only one part. There's also circulation. That gentle heat you feel after drinking ginger? It's not just a surface sensation. Gingerol interacts with receptors in your body that can slightly increase blood flow. That's why you feel warmth spreading, even if the room hasn't changed. And then there's something even more subtle. Inflammation. Not the kind you see, but the kind your body quietly manages every day. Some studies suggest ginger compounds may influence pathways related to inflammation. Not in a dramatic way, but in a steady, supportive way. Now here's where it all comes together. And this may be why ginger feels different at night. Your body is quieter at night, so even a small signal may feel more noticeable. And this lines up closely with what ancient systems described as warming and activating the body. Different language, but pointing to the same internal experience. Now imagine this. You decide to try something simple. Every night before bed, you take a small amount of ginger, nothing extreme, just consistent, and you pay attention. Day 1. The first thing you notice is a change. A light sensation moves through your chest and stomach, something you felt before. But this time, you're actually aware of it. Later, as you lie down, your stomach feels a little lighter than usual. Not a big change, just different. Day 3. By now, you stop focusing on the ginger itself, but your body doesn't. It starts recognizing the pattern. You drink it, and the response feels more familiar now. After meals, that heavy feeling doesn't linger as long. Your digestion feels smoother. You may not even think about it during the day, but at night you begin to notice the contrast. So what happens if that pattern continues? All the way through the end of the week, day 7. Something shifts here. It no longer feels like you're trying something new. It feels like your body adjusted to something it was always meant to recognize. Now the difference shows up more in your evenings and in how your body feels the next morning. Your system feels more predictable, less sluggish after eating, more comfortable as you wind down. It's subtle, but consistent, and that's the key. Because real change in your body rarely feels dramatic. It feels natural, almost like your system is doing what it was always meant to do, just with a little support. By now you might be wondering, how do you actually use ginger at night without overcomplicating it? The answer is simple. Because the way ginger has always worked best is when it's used in a way your body can easily recognize. Start with the most natural option. Take a small piece of fresh ginger, slice it thin, and place it into hot water. Let it sit for a few minutes, then drink it slowly. Not quickly, not like something you're trying to finish, but like something your body is meant to absorb. You can also grate a small amount into warm water. Some people add lemon, some keep it plain. The key isn't what you add, it's the consistency. Now imagine this becoming part of your night. The lights are lower. Your day is ending, and this becomes a signal. A simple moment that tells your body, it's time to slow down. It's time to process. It's time to reset. And because ginger interacts with your system in a gentle way, you don't need much. In fact, less is often enough, because your body responds best when you give it just what it needs and nothing more. As simple as ginger is, it's still something your body responds to. And that means one thing: balance matters. You don't need large amounts. You don't need to force it. In fact, taking too much at once may feel uncomfortable for some people. Your stomach might feel irritated. The warmth might feel too strong. So the best approach is simple. Start small. Pay attention. Let your body guide you, because the goal here isn't intensity, it's consistency. And if something doesn't feel right, your body will usually let you know. That's the advantage of natural substances like ginger. They don't try to override your system. They work with it, as long as you're willing to listen. It's interesting when you step back and look at this. For thousands of years, people used ginger without knowing anything about compounds, or receptors, or scientific terminology. They didn't measure gingerol. They didn't study digestion in a lab. They simply paid attention to their body. They noticed how they felt after using it, and they repeated what worked. Now fast forward to today, you have modern research, detailed analysis, chemical breakdowns. And what do you find? Many of those ancient observations weren't guesses. They were accurate descriptions, just explained in a different language. What they described as supporting digestion, you now see as measurable processes inside your system. Different words, same experience. And maybe that's the part most people overlook. Your body hasn't changed, only the way you explain it has. So the next time you see ginger sitting quietly in your kitchen, you might pause for a second. Because now, you know something most people don't pay attention to. Not just how it tastes, but how your body responds to it, especially in those quiet moments before sleep. And once you start noticing those small changes, it's hard to ignore them. Because it makes you wonder, what else have you been overlooking? What other simple plants have been used for generations that your body already understands, but you've never truly explored? And maybe ginger is just the beginning. So now I'm curious. If you try this for a few nights,